Dear brothers and sisters, it's been a while I didn't celebrate Mass here. So it's nice to see you again, this community. In this gospel, the last part that we just heard, do not tell the vision to anyone until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. So this passage just give me another reflection that I could share today, that usually we consider this verse like we puzzle over the first part. Why did Jesus tell this disciple to remain quiet and not tell the vision to anyone? I think that's the same question that we may ask today. But it is really the second part of the verse that is most significant, because the second part of the verse implies that disciples should remember the vision. They should remember the vision. They don't have to tell to anyone, but they should remember that. So what does the second half tell us? That Jesus wants the disciples to remember it. What happened to them on the mountain? Because a time will come later in their lives when that vision will be useful, perhaps even necessary. So the disciples' experience on the mountain was a special one, a life-changing one. Actually, they quaked. They rejoiced. They saw things differently. They saw Jesus and their own lives in a new way because Jesus was transfigured. Jesus charges them to remember that the vision, because later on, it will be important. So Jesus already overshadowed himself in the glory of the resurrection. It must be proclaimed. Now, dear brothers and sisters, every one of us has mountaintop experiences in our lives. What I mean is that a time when everything changes, a time when we see life in a new way, or a time when we encounter the Lord, when we are swept off our feet. So it might be the first time that we met our future spouse, probably, and realized that he or she was the one. It is like that. It might be the moment when we recognized what we wanted to do in life, what our call, our vocation would be, and when we are called to build, to design, to teach, to heal, to seal, to recognize the world around us. In another word, the first time when we encounter God in our lives. It might be the first time that we held a newly born, probably in our life, a born son or daughter in our arms and realized both with joy and with tears that life will never again be the same. So Jesus charges us, like the disciples today that we heard, to remember those moments, those transforming moments, those mountaintop experiences, because they have the power to help us to live our hope until today. But in what sense do we do this? In what sense do these transfiguration moments guide us and direct us? Dear brothers and sisters, when we remember a transformative moment later in our life, actually it has the power to revive us, even we never realize it. It revives us by recalling for our initial enthusiasm and excitement, and challenges us to use that enthusiasm and excitement as a way to break the routine of boredom and ingratitude. So, for example, we can remember the initial thrill of falling in love or beginning a lifelong friendship. We remember those moments on how we met our loved ones, on how we met our spouse, and everything that's special to us. For some of us, that's looking back over like 20, 40, 50 years ago, and much has changed in that time since we encountered that person, that special moment. So the relationship in which we are now standing may have taken on the attitude of ordinary routine. Conversations might become limited only to the daily transfer of information. We might stand in others' presence and see that presence as aspective and barely appreciated. We need to remember the original transfiguring moment of us, the time when laughter came easily, when conversations could go on for hours, and when we would fight for even a few moments to be in the other's presence. And recalling that life-changing time gives us the power to reintroduce, actually, our enthusiasm, our excitement, and our passion into relationships. We might recall in this Mass the moment when we decided how we are going to spend our lives and what we are going to do and how we could make a difference by teaching and healing. We need to remember, dear brothers and sisters, the excitement of that time, the mountaintop experience, to realize that our present work is more than just, earning a paycheck, probably, that there are possibilities even now that can change others for better. Remembering the initial moment revives us, the work that we do and the time that we spend. Once again, Jesus calls us in this Lenten season to remember those moments that changed our lives first, because we need them now to remember that. In remembering them, it means we recognize those moments as God's gift, a gift that we can use as we live today to live our own lives more deeply and with abiding gratitude. As we continue this Eucharistic celebration, let us ask the Lord to transform our worries into hope. May this Lent transfigure as well our hearts. As we leave this Mass later on, may our faces reflect at least a little bit of that light from Mount Tabor to illuminate our homes, our workplaces, and every moment we know or encounter who feels lonely on their journey. May God always bless us, now and forever.